Hello everyone, welcome back to Huntcraft. Well, Bounty Clash has been out for a while now, and there's definitely much to say about it. It's very easy to say that this is the biggest and best new thing Hunt has had introduced ever, so I thought it's definitely time to give it a look and sort of a review, so let's go. First of all, what is it? Bounty Clash is a new mode that started with the Harvest of Ghosts event, and it's only up on weekends. 12 players start around the edge of a circle surrounding a compound. You cannot get out of this circle or you die, kind of like the circle in Soul Survivor when you have the Wellspring. The boss is already dead. As soon as any player gets inside the compound, the boss's body appears, and all you need to do is click it to banish it. The banish time is shorter, and the whole game has a 15-minute time limit. The boss gives you 1 token, and there are only 2 extractions. Matchmaking is based on MMR, but the outcome does not impact your MMR. Everything else is basically the same. Now what does that mean? It means action-packed spawn fights, third parties, compound sieges, all at once. Delicious. It was actually very funny because the first day, everyone was running Dolches and Mosins and all sorts of special ammo, and my MMR didn't change because I was only playing it. I was in 6 or 5.5 stars, I guess. It's not like I dropped to an easier rank, so those are likely the richest players. But the next day, everyone is running free hunters and Romeros, conversion pistols and hand crossbows. Everybody's playing budget Showdown. So let's analyze this mode a bit and look at the pros and cons and maybe explore some ideas for improvement. Now let's look at the pros first. The most obvious thing is the action. It simply cuts out all the pieces that can be boring or referred to as a walking sim. There's nothing more annoying than spawning in the corner of a map, getting a clue, and then the second one, then you see the boss banished at the opposite corner of the map, and then you hear gunshots there, you walk, and by the time you make it, there's either one team left, crippled by the bars they lost, and trying to extract quickly, or, while you're rushing there, you get sniped by a tree hugger or shotgunned by a bush camper, and you're back in the lobby. Could not be more fun. 5+ minutes with no fun and even a financial loss. But to be fair, I don't think it's just a walking sim. Knowing that you can be ambushed at any moment by anyone will always mean that even if you're running across the map, you're always suspicious of campers. You're actually building tension. In fact, just the sound design of Hunt builds up tension as soon as the game starts. So even though the action part can be delayed by the walking sim aspect, it's still a tension building process that for some people surely makes the action more critical and valuable. It's definitely a subjective taste type of preference, but I can see both sides. The walking sim is like blue balls. If after the walking sim you end up getting into a fight and winning, or a few fights, and you end up clearing the map and having both bounties, that's maximum fun. On the other hand, 5+ minutes of a walking sim, then you die to a random bullet out of nowhere, that's maximum rage. Now if you compare that to Bounty Clash, it's kind of a tame version on both ends in my opinion. Let me explain. If you win the map and take the bounty, it's great fun and action. But because there isn't enough emotional build-up with time and tension, it doesn't feel like a sigh of relief type of fun. Check this out. Of course it ends in a trade. That's the whole map. 9 or more kills in barely 2 minutes. Awesome, we won. But at least for me, it doesn't feel as great as winning a bounty hunt and clearing the whole map. It's just too quick. Same on the negative end. Like I mentioned, a walking sim for minutes, then a random bullet, and you're back in the lobby, is maximum rage. While in Bounty Clash, you have a spawn fight and you die, and you're in the lobby seconds later. You still lost the hunter and loadout, like you would in Bounty Hunt, but at least you didn't waste 10 minutes before dying to nearly no combat. here just for the sake of science. Time spent versus fun factor. In Bounty Hunt, if you waste 5 minutes then die without a fight, that's the worst time. If you clear the map and get all bounties, that's epic fun. In Bounty Clash, if you die early, it's not as annoying. If you clear the whole map, it's not as much fun. Again, I know this is a very subjective view anyway, so please let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do map clears and early losses hit the same for you in both Bounty Hunt and Clash? Or otherwise, how is it skewed? This whole point though makes me very positive about this mode. It doesn't replace Bounty Hunt, it just hits a different feel, I think, with many people. And in the grand scheme of things, when you win, the rewards aren't that great in terms of money or XP. And it doesn't affect your MMR, so it's technically a pointless mode in that sense. Nobody plays Shipment in Call of Duty for its competitive edge, but it's great for warm-up or getting familiar with some guns. Well, that's a bit unfair. Bounty Clash isn't as dumb and meaningless as Shipment, but you get my point, I hope. Pro number 2 is quicker games. You want non-stop combat, no carefulness, just combat grind? Then that's it for you. It's good for when you don't have much time to play, or even as a warm-up before Bounty Hunt, instead of warming up with Source Survivor, which many people do, and that one still has a walking sim issue as well. Pro number 3, this is a pro and a con, but not affecting MMR is good. The positive side is that it would be the quickest way to D-rank, even with the new MMR system, if you wanted to. So essentially, your skill in that mode doesn't affect your matchmaking in the core game mode. Pro number 4, there is a restoration medkit in boss lairs, so deaths on your team aren't as permanently punishing as they would be otherwise. With the banish and potentially 3 uses of the kit, this can extend your survival significantly, and that also discourages extraction camping. And given the fact that the mode is capped at 15 minutes, this won't slow the overall game, and generally I've never seen a stalemate.
Nice.
Now for the cons, the first and most obvious one here is trades. This mode is packed with players and a compound in the center, which nearly forces CQC, so shotguns, bows, crossbows, etc. are all very popular in this mode, and that makes it a trade fest. Luckily, after more than 3 years of agony, Crytek finally responded to us and came back to their senses, and they're putting an end to this crap. They're changing the 800 milliseconds to 75. Remains to be seen how this plays out, but hopefully this will help fix this issue, which is greatly exposed in this mode. And don't get me wrong, most of the trades you just saw will probably keep happening. These were just the examples I captured recently. At least on my screen, those look like a case of actually shooting at the same time. So those trades will keep happening, and rightfully so. But that fix should get rid of the unfair ones against players who aren't playing in their own region or are too laggy. Like this shit. Second one is AI. AI seems to have no place in this mode. I don't know why they're there. The main purpose is distraction and sound traps. Nobody gives a shit about being careful in this mode, so sound traps don't really make a difference. So all they do is a distraction. A random distraction that can get you killed if someone spots you dealing with them at spawn, for example. I'm assuming that's the easiest change to make for this mode, so it's probably not a big deal. Third one would be no pledging. Many people think this is a con. While I don't disagree, you have to remember this isn't an event, it's a game mode. Pledges give a significant edge during events, and is probably not balanced for this mode. And you also have to think of the mode staying outside of events. And I know you can dip into Bounty Hunt to pledge and then back into Clash, but that's not practical, and I doubt many will bother to do that for every hunter. It seems like a no-brainer choice for a beta mode, just to not bother with the hassle of balancing. I assume in upcoming events, when they are on, they might have balance traits to fit in Bounty Clash. Hell, it's not hard to imagine any trait having a unique behavior in Bounty Clash. Just like some traits do different things when you're solo, or pledged for example, that sounds like a natural evolution of the mode, when it's integrated properly in the game. Like Necro for example, it does something different when you're solo. Maybe in Bounty Clash, it lets you just spring up and self-revive even if you're in a team. Number 4 is the rewards. They're a bit shit, which I guess is easy to increase eventually just to fine-tune it. And in a way, it kinda puts a cap on the mode, so it's not easily profitable for people to keep grinding it without free hunters. That might be their thought process behind it. It's not a farming mode. Having said that, I'm sure there's a video out there advising people to rat out of the game, camp the edge of the map, and wait till everyone leaves, and then have Witness and Vulture and loot all the bodies. Very easy way to be a millionaire, albeit be in a game you don't play. Number 5, the no MMR change. This is an easy loophole because it obviously encourages smurfing. D-rank or get a new account, spam Bounty Clash, and you're clapping noobs all day while staying at low rank. I'm sure there's way more points and we can cherry pick a ton more pros and cons, but the more we get into detail, the more it's too specific, and we know the mode is still new and will be subject to many changes. So let's talk about some of the cons and how to address them, and also some ideas to improve in general. Initially, I thought having this mode permanently on can harm the bounty hunt queues. But maybe having it on all the time will dilute its appeal, and people will fall back to the intended hunt dynamic or pace, or at least have a healthy swing between both modes, especially because it's expensive to keep playing it for most people. In a way, part of me wishes this was limited to some strict loadouts, not trash like Soul Survivor, but more of a way to ban some weapons or tools. A bow with concertina is just an annoying attempt to slow the game down while it's supposed to be fast. A frag bow, or explosive crossbow, feels like a skill-less mayhem that's not compatible with the mode. And don't get me started on revive bolts. As hard as it is to balance weapons, guns and items in the game are just not balanced for this mode at all, because Bounty Clash pushes the focus on a certain aspect of the game and takes it away from others, which totally throws off any weapon balance in the game. That's why restrictions on loadouts, or at least something like only this shotgun can be used, and only this pistol, and maybe no scopes, can be a good idea, but I also get that it can be boring to be limited to a few potential loadouts. But then maybe they can be in a rotation, or maybe have a cap on the total cost of a loadout. I'm not 100% sure, but surely gun balance for this mode is like balancing a different game. This is probably the longest term mission for Crytek when it comes to Bounty Clash's future. The other thing is the MMR not changing. This is both a pro and a con, but you can see how it's the easiest quick decision to make when you're launching something new like this. It needs to be kept away from the core mode till it evolves enough to be integrated properly. The ideal thing to do is for this to be a completely separate mode in all senses. Traits behave differently, gun balance completely different, and it would have its own ranking. But obviously that's an insane amount of work. It's like making a new game. So Crytek have to find the right balance making those decisions. The other issue of ratting and looting dead bodies can be easily fixed alongside with the bad rewards. They can just make you get no money from looting players and increase the value of the one bounty you extract with. That's in line with the general game loop. Getting the bounty and extracting is the ultimate goal, so it would make sense that this would be the only way to make good money. The new mode is also restricted to trios, or you can solo. I'm sure they can open up duos at some point. They're probably concerned about too much fragmentation in interest that might affect queues. The good news is this is a net positive out of the gate. Crytek haven't just released this mode into the wild. They're clearly treating it like a beta, being only on weekends, which means there will be iterations and changes and tweaks. But even in its first iteration, it's clearly winning most people over and people are enjoying it. Let's look at the Steam charts. This is when it came out on the 16th, and it stayed till the next Sunday, the 20th. Constant action. Then on the 25th, it was Twitch drops, and it was active during Twitch drops. That stayed until the 1st of November, which was a Friday. and then it stayed on for the weekend and ended on Sunday the 3rd. So we can see a drop here during the week. Then it picks up again on the 8th till the 10th. And you can see the density is noticeable. It's not that highs are spiking higher, but the lows aren't that low. People are overall more active, which is also a symptom of a weekend. And given that the gains aren't that much, you can essentially say they're technically the same people, if that makes sense. They're just more active. It's still new, but from this sample, it's reasonable to make the conclusion that this mode has rejuvenated or vivified the hunt community, but it hasn't necessarily brought in many new players. I know there's definitely returning players. I played with a guy who, after winning the game, left us to loot first because he had Vulture. That's a returning player after a long break. But again, it's too early to claim this is a final analysis. It's just a clear positive to this point, no doubt. Interestingly, it took me a while to finish this video as I was away on holiday in sunny Egypt, but by now when I'm finishing it, Crytek have released a survey which I think people should always fill. My initial thought was that this would be how we can give feedback about Bounty Clash. As it turns out, it was mostly about what we think of skins, and the only question about Bounty Clash was, do you like it or not? Which makes it harder to try to encourage people to fill these surveys in, while they're not even asking questions people care about. They've also mentioned that the mode will still be up for 2 more weekends to come, which is great obviously, but let's see what happens after they take it away. I'm really hoping they have their priorities straight and try to work on the mode, because I think they have a good idea on their hands. I just hope they don't fumble it. Instead of asking about skins, maybe ask about bugs, like this shit. That's not an editing filter. This just happens, and I've only seen it when playing Clash in Mammon's Gulch. Shit just goes dark. Why is that not a priority? Surefoot being broken for essentially the whole duration of the event, and they just ran with it without fixing it. Is that not worth addressing? Sorry, I'll ignore the game-breaking bugs and give you feedback about the skins. And I get the apologetic opinion that these are different departments and work on different things in parallel. The guy making the skins is not the guy fixing the bugs. I get all this. I'm quite familiar with software development. This isn't the customer's problem though. The customer knows Crytek as a whole, receives communication from Crytek, and gives feedback to Crytek. Full stop. Imagine a frustrated player getting fed up because he had the cursor bug more than once, and then the dark filter one, and says enough of this today. Closes the game, sees a notification on Twitter about a survey, opens it up to give honest feedback, and finds it to be about skins. Just read the room, Crytek. Maybe release 2 surveys, one about skins and one about things that people care about. Anyway, no need to rant on a positive video. Those are my thoughts after the event has ended. Please let me know about your experience, opinions, and any ideas you have to improve Bounty Clash. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And please remember to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.